So they were clean shaven now, and they looked like rock stars. You know, they had the rock clothes,
right?
The Billy the Kid garb. And then we put the Wanna poster in the background, like they were like the Hideouts, but they looked like a cool rock band.
Right.
So that was so it turned into that. So that was number 2.
Yeah.
And then we had a little girl that looked like John that we met up there. That was just a fluke that we just kind of made up as we went. So that was number 3. And then we had the soap, and the soap was a joke. You know, we spent $2,000 on a hand model and $1,000 on the bar of soap, custom made.
God.
And
Amazing.
then we went with the girl with the boobs.
Which was fantastic. That cover was amazing. And it wasn't even showing a lot of skin. Why was that trashed?
Well, you know, it was the PMRC was going on. I actually went with Dee to the PMRC hearings in D.C. where Dee was like fighting to keep those labels off.
Sure.
You know, that was going on, and the record company didn't want to jeopardize not having it in the mainstream stores like Walmart, you know, so they decided to take it off and come up with something else.
Yeah, it's incredible. So now you had that last-ditch effort with the garbage bag and spraying it, and then John writing "Slippery When Wet" on it. What a tricky thing to pull off there. Were you kind of shocked that they went with that because it was such a last-ditch effort?
I didn't know what they were going to do. Nobody knew, really. So, you know, it was a disaster. We didn't know what was going on. And then John just came up and he said, we have a day to come. We got to come up with something now. I'm coming up, have a black plastic bag, have a little water bottle, spray on it. And I was like, all right. He came up. He said, spray it on the hefty bag. And then he just wrote with his hands, "Slippery When Wet." And he says, "That's it." I says, "That's it?" He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "You want to see the Polaroid or anything?" He goes, "No, just send that to him. We're done." That's the cover.
Oh, my God. And by the way, have you seen through the years, I mean, I love that album and I've always listened to it, but like there's different versions of that cover. It's the same photo, but they have in some versions, the droplets of water are very sharp and light, and other ones, they're darker. Have you noticed this?
What, on different versions of it?
Yeah. Like it's like, for example, if you look at different copies of Slippery When Wet, maybe you look at a vinyl copy from back in the day or a vinyl copy today or a CD copy or a picture of the cover on the internet. You notice the droplets of water, which are all the same because it's the same photo, but in some of them, the droplets of water are more pronounced and lighter, and then other ones, it's like darker. It's very strange. I always thought that was wild. I never could figure out how that we're pulling that off.
I like to see it. If you have any examples.
I'm going to send you some. I'm going to email you some. So now also, did Bon Jovi, the one who gave you your nickname Weissguy?
No, that was Mick Mars.
Oh, Mick Mars from Motley Crue. Wow. And how did that come about?
A lot of drinking Jack Daniels, getting bit on the thigh by Nicky, and watching Three Stooges.
Okay.
So in other words, just another typical day with Motley Crue.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And are you still friends with those guys today?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Whenever they play or if Vince does a solo thing, I'm always sending him pictures that they've never seen before, and I always freak him out. He goes, they don't remember it, a lot of the shots. So, yeah, I stay in touch. We did interviews with them in the book. But, yeah, I mean, one of my favorite bands. I mean, 1982 was when I first shot them for Wii Magazine.
Oh, sure.
It was their first national layout they got, and it kind of set the tone for who Motley Crue was with that shoot, so.
Now, what did you make of Motley really throwing the switch from Shout at the Devil to Theater of Pain? Their look changed so dramatically. What did you make of that?
I mean, at the time, everything was moving so fast. It just happened, It's like, Poison was just coming out. It seemed like everyone was starting to go that route.
Right.
And Motley was the first big band that really made a splash on it.
Totally.
And then,
yeah.
And then everyone kind of followed. Yeah.
And now, what was your most difficult shoot that you went through? Is there one that was the hardest?
Hard or difficult?
Like the shoot that like was a real nail biter, or that you sweated your way through and you finally got through it.
I mean, most of my shoots, my album covers are very detailed and whatnot. And, that's always like, when you're building a set, it's very painstaking and making sure you get everything right. I mean, Come Out and Play, it was a huge thing. I had a manhole designed, a piece of street, which ends up being like over a ton. We had to bring it into New York. and we had a prop D in there and hold up a real manhole cover over him. So God forbid that it went down on his fingers. There's a lot of moving parts. That was the most challenging.
Okay.
Nothing's really difficult. It's just challenging.
Right. In terms of that album, Come Out and Play, I love that album, I love Twisted. I'm a big fan of D and the guys. What did you make of the whole Come Out and Play thing? Were they going for a way younger audience with that album? It seems like they were. I couldn't tell. I mean, their look.
Yeah.
I mean, they were going for like kids, right?
Yeah, that was a mistake. Even D admits that. They just thought they saw all these young kids at their shows. I mean, they weren't used to that because before Stay Hungry came out, they would play bars and there'd be rowdy guys and all this, and all of a sudden they do those videos and it ends up being big video hits, and their market ends up being 12, 13-year-olds. So
right.
They just went with that and, be cruel to your school. I mean, leader of the pack. I mean, these are, at that point, no one could say no to D because D was making every decision.
Right.
And he was making good ones, but right. This wasn't good. And he
right.
knows it wasn't good, and it destroyed the band,
Did you do the back cover shot with all the graffiti?
Yeah, I art directed that whole project. That was a huge thing.
Unbelievable. Where was that?
That was just down in New York City. I think maybe 20th Street, West Side.
And you had someone like hand design that whole graffiti wall?
JJ French, the guitar player, had friends that did graffiti. He knew some art people. He gathered them together, and we had scaffolding, and it was a whole crew.
Unbelievable. And the incredible cover that you did, Come Out and Play, which can only be appreciated with the vinyl edition where D pops out of the manhole like he's Freddy Krueger there. All the green smoke and everything that comes out, which is really cool. Did you ever think that maybe they should have put D physically on the cover? I thought the pop-up was great, but I'm just saying, like, did they ever think about putting, like, his image on the cover popping out as opposed to the lift-up?
Not really, no. I mean, that was the whole concept. He wanted to be very Alice Cooperish.
Okay, gotcha. That made sense. Yeah, I see that. So now, in terms of your connections with Ozzy, you have some of the most iconic Ozzy shots ever. It seems like you guys could almost do anything together. I mean, it was comical, it was whimsical, it was all kinds of stuff. Some of it was scary, some of it was funny. So where did all those wacky ideas come from? Was that you or Ozzy or his people, or?
Mostly me, but he would always add his 2 cents in. Like the first shoot we did together, it was supposed to be just a cool rock and roll photos. And then there was this one piece in Circus called Rock and Roll Yearbook.
Right.
So each person had a little persona that they were going to portray, and Ozzy was voted most athletic, kind of just, a little satirical, because he used to jump around a lot. So I brought a pair of boxing gloves, and he came out with a pink tutu on, and then I saw in the corner of the room there was his red boots, and we just did a whole shoot. So that was like, I knew that was going to be someone fun to work with.
Sure.
And then from then I started saying, all right, if he's up for the pink tutu, he'll be up for the other stuff. And that's when we started doing a lot of crazy stuff.
Absolutely. And is there one photo or album cover or whatever piece that you're most proud of?
I would say Stay Hungry, really.
It's Stay Hungry,
my first album cover, the guys gave me a shot. I mean, I was doing magazine covers, but I never did something so conceptual where I would have a built set and have a lot of control like that. So that was really a game changer for me.
Sure.
And then from there I did, I got hired to do The Last Command by Wasp, and then Dockin' Under Lock and Key, and Cinderella Night Songs.
Yep.
And just the list started growing.
And which band do you wish you shot but never got a chance to?
No one really in the 80s. I would say if it was the 70s, it would be like, I've shot the Stones tours, but I've never toured with them or did any backstage photos. So that would definitely be one for sure.
Sure. And which artist would you say was the hardest to work with?
That's an easy one. Glenn Danzig.
Oh, that's not hard to believe either. So.
There's a good story in my book on that.
Yeah.
It's titled Danzig is Not Amused.
That's for sure. And we'll have people read that. And how was Guns N' Roses to work with?
They were great. They're just 5 rock and rollers that just are all very different too, but they're fun and partiers, and that's the definition of the true rock and roll band. is Guns N' Roses.
Sure. And is there a band that you're closest with?
I'm really close with all the bands, really. You know, Poison, Motley. I mean, Ozzy is an artist. Cinderella, Tom Kiefer.
Do you keep in touch with these guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Jack Russell from Great White.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
Steven Tyler, you
Right.
know, Aerosmith.
In terms of this book, were there any rock stars that say, hey, listen, Mark, please don't put that picture of me with the so-and-so in it? Was anybody, you know, calling you up saying, hey, listen, I heard you're putting out a book. Make sure you don't put that shot in there. Like, was any of that going on?
No, not really. I mean, the only thing that was like a little racy was the photos from We Magazine when I used to shoot rock stars and naked women. And, you know, half naked women.
Right.
Like crazy.
Sure.
So I wasn't even sure if I should even put it in, but the publisher is like, no, this is part of your career and we want to embrace that. So I was like, all right, if you feel good about it, let's do it.
Was it hard to choose what was going in and what wasn't going in because you have such an amazing amount of stuff to choose from?
Well, it was easy because all I did was I put all the photos in one big plastic bag and I shuck it up and I just threw it up in the air and whatever landed on my desk.
Okay. And last question, will there be a sequel?
Absolutely. There's going to be a sequel and 9 after that. So my plan is I love the next book to be a book on just one band, like either Ozzy or Motley or Van Halen or Guns N' Roses, like a band that I have a good body of work with. And that's what I like to do that. And then I like to do kind of a sequel to this book called The Decade That Rocked BW, like black and white. And then just have all the nitty gritty photos that are in my filing cabinets that I never even pulled out. Because back in the day, when I used to work for magazines, I used to shoot mostly color because I get $100 for a color photo as opposed to 25 for a black and white. So It was cheaper to shoot black and white, and I would like to shoot black and white on the tour bus and things because I knew wouldn't really be able to use the photos on the bus because they were just like, you know, more personal shots but cool stuff, you know, smoking pot and drugs. So those photos are still in my cabinets, and I rarely even looked at them. I mean, I started looking at them when I pulled some for this book. But I think this next book will be all black and whites, and it won't be about the stories. It will be about the road, you know. Like, this book is very personal to me because it's about photo shoots that kind of got me to somewhere else or something that got them somewhere else. Photos that people remember. This next book will be photos that no one remembered, not even the band or myself taking them, probably.
Okay, that's great.
You know,
that's
kind of my plan.
Sounds great. Well, we look forward to that, and we look forward to talking to you about your next book. Do you think you have enough material to do just a Van Halen book?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Yeah, I definitely have plenty for a Van Halen book.
Oh,
yeah.
That's great. That's great to hear. Thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate your time. We look forward to helping you promote the book, and we wish you best of luck with it going forward. People can buy your book on Amazon.com, but is there also a website people can get it from?
Yeah, I have thedecadethatrocked.com. It's kind of my brand where you can go to where there's interviews, and I have a merch shop where I have T-shirts, patches. I have personalized copies of the book for a few extra bucks. I have postcards. I got prints, signed prints. Maybe I'll do a Van Halen bundle where I'll have some Van Halen photos. Like right now I have a Bach bundle of Sebastian, and I have an Ozzy bundle. So maybe I'll come up with a Van Halen bundle. Yeah, go to thedecadethatrocked.com, and there's a YouTube channel that I have a whole bunch of cool, fun stuff too there.
Awesome. Well, everybody check that out. We will be promoting that all month long. The Decade That Rocked. And you want to go to thedecadethatrocked.com, correct?
That's it.
Awesome. Mark, thanks so much for your time, and wish you best of luck out there on the road.
Thanks Dave,
man.
Dave.
You got it, man.
Whoa! How about that for rock video music fans? Live all day, all night. You know what you need. Only right here on Dave TV.
Check us out on Facebook at Dave and Dave Unchained, a Van Halen podcast, on Twitter at DD Unchained, on Instagram at DD Unchained Podcast, and you can email us at ddunchainedpodcast@gmail.com.
Hello?
David.
Hey, what's going on?
Living the dream, you?
Yeah, hanging in there, man, hanging in.
Excellent, excellent.
Are you all ready to go? Have you taken care of all your business over there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Apologies for the
That's
delay.
all right. No problem. Okay, so you ready? I'm going to go and start. You ready?
Yep.
Okay.